Welcome to Bite-Sized Battles, the podcast that brings history's most decisive clashes to life in quick, powerful episodes. In 216 BC, the Roman Republic faced one of the darkest moments in its history. Hannibal Barca, the Carthaginian general who had marched war elephants across the Alps. He was still roaming Italy, undefeated, destroying Roman armies one after another. Rome had had enough. They raised the largest army they had ever assembled, determined to crush Hannibal decisively. Instead, they marched straight into one of the most brilliant traps ever set on a battlefield. This is Bite-Sized Battles, and today we're exploring the Battle of Cannae, Hannibal's masterpiece and the most devastating defeat Rome ever suffered. So how did we get here? For 2 years, Hannibal had been fighting deep inside Italy. He had beaten Rome at Trebia. He had ambushed them at Lake Trasimene. He had embarrassed them again and again. Rome's fear turned into anger. The Senate chose to end the war quickly by overwhelming Hannibal with raw numbers. 2 consuls would command: Gaius Terentius Varro, aggressive and hungry for glory; Lucius Aemilius Paulus, cautious and experienced. Together, they raised 80,000 Roman infantry and 6,000 cavalry. And this was twice the number of Hannibal's army. Hannibal, meanwhile, had around 40,000 infantry and 10,000 cavalry. But his troops were veterans, Iberians, Gauls, Numidians, and African infantry hardened by years of campaigning. And Hannibal understood something Rome did not. A massive army is useless if it cannot move. So how did the battlefield and the plan look? Well, the battle took place near the village of Cannae, on a wide, flat plain, hot, dusty, windy, and with little cover. Perfect for cavalry, perfect for movement, and perfect for the trap Hannibal wanted. Now Rome's plan was simple: smash Hannibal's centre with overwhelming infantry force. Rome would form an enormous, dense block of men and push straight ahead like a battering ram. Hannibal's plan, a masterpiece of geometry and timing. He arranged his army like this: his weaker troops in a curved, forward bulging centre, stronger African infantry on both flanks, Numidian light cavalry on one wing, and heavy cavalry on the other. Hannibal himself positioned at the front of the centre. He wanted Rome to push forward hard and squeeze themselves into a tight mass. Then he would surround them completely. This maneuver is known today as the double envelopment or pincer movement, and no one had ever executed it at this scale. At dawn, Rome attacks. The August sun rose through thick haze of dust and wind. Varro held command that day and wasted no time. He ordered the massive Roman infantry block to advance. The Roman wall of bodies surged forward, slamming into Hannibal's centre line. Hannibal's Gauls and Iberians fought ferociously, but slowly gave ground, stepping back, bending inward, and forming a shallow bow. To the Romans, it felt like a breakthrough. To Hannibal, it was phase 1. As Rome pushed deeper, their formation grew tighter and tighter. Men crowding together, losing space to maneuver, becoming a compact mess. This is exactly where Hannibal wanted them. While the Roman centre drove forward, the flanks told a different story. Hannibal's African infantry on the wings held firm, refusing to give ground. They waited patiently, shields locked, watching the Roman mass get sucked deeper into the pocket. Every step Rome took forward was a step deeper into the trap. The more the centre bent back, the more confident Rome became. They thought the Carthaginian line was collapsing. In reality, Hannibal was shaping the battle like a sculptor shaping clay. And now came the decisive moment. On the Roman right, Hannibal's heavy cavalry charged. The fight was brief and brutal. The Roman allied cavalry broke and fled. And on the Roman left, Numidian cavalry swarmed like hornets, keeping Rome's horsemen occupied and away from the real action. With the Roman cavalry gone, Hannibal's heavy horses didn't chase. Instead, they wheeled around behind the Roman infantry. Rome no longer had a rear, and the trap was now ready. Hannibal gave the signal. His African infantry on both wings pivoted inward, hitting the exposed Roman flanks simultaneously. At the same time, Hannibal's cavalry crashed into the rear of the Roman formation. Rome was now completely surrounded, front, sides, and rear. A giant circle of Carthaginian troops closed around a gigantic, panicked mass of Roman infantry. And there was no room to run, no room to breathe, no room even to raise a sword. Ancient writers describe men being crushed to death by their own comrades, and in the centre of the Roman bloc, the killing lasted for hours. By the end, 50,000 to 70,000 Romans were dead. Up to 80% of Rome's force was wiped out. Hannibal had only lost 6,000 men. Cannae wasn't just a victory, it was annihilation. And in the aftermath, Rome had never suffered a defeat like this. Entire legions were wiped off the map. Many senators lost sons, brothers, and relatives. Panic swept through the city. Some had expected Hannibal to march on Rome immediately. Famously, Hannibal's cavalry commander urged him to do exactly that. But Hannibal refused. The city was fortified. He lacked siege equipment, and he knew Rome still had armies elsewhere. Instead, he tried to break Rome's alliance and starve the Republic into submission. For a while, it almost worked. But Rome, stubborn, disciplined, and relentless, refused to collapse. They adapted, they changed strategy, they avoided pitched battles, and slowly dragged the war into a grind. Years later, Rome would recover and eventually defeat Carthage, but the memory of Cannae never faded. And Cannae still matters today. Cannae has become the gold standard for battlefield tactics. Generals for centuries tried to recreate Hannibal's double envelopment. Napoleon, Frederick the Great, even modern military academies today. The lesson of Cannae is as old as war itself. Numbers mean nothing if they cannot maneuver. Victory belongs to the commander who shapes the battlefield. The Battle of Cannae shattered Rome and transformed it. It showcased Hannibal's genius, Rome's resilience, and the brutal power of strategy in shaping history. Thanks for listening to Bite-Sized Battles. Follow the show for more fast, dramatic breakdowns of the battles that forged our world.